It's Capital Region Sports Saturday with Brady Farkas, sponsored by Mohawk Honda.
This is my recital. I think it's very vital to rock around. That's right.
On time.
It's tricky. Here we go. It's tricky to rock around. That's right. On time. It's tricky. It's tricky. It's tricky to rock around. That's right. On time.
Well, today is the day. Another one of our Capital Region kids makes his debut in the big leagues. Shaker High School graduate, Colorado Rockies farmhand Jeff Hoffman to the major leagues today, pitching for the Rockies against the Chicago Cubs in Denver at Coors Field. An unbelievable accomplishment for another one of the Capital Region zone. Good morning, everybody. Capital Region Sports Saturday brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region. I'm your host, Brady Farkas, taking you all the way up until 10 o'clock. So Shaker grad Jeff Hoffman, one of the top prospects in all of baseball, a top 5 prospect in the Rockies system. He gets the call today. So let's talk about how we got here. Jeff Hoffman out of Shaker, went to East Carolina, drafted by the Toronto Blue Jays, 9th overall in the 2014 draft. He was thought to be maybe a first-round pick, or a first overall pick in that draft, rather. Had Tommy John surgery right before the draft, still went number 9. Missed that whole season, 2014. 2015 came back low A, then advanced to Double A with the Blue Jays, was traded right before the deadline with Jose Reyes to the Rockies for Troy Tulowitzki in that big monster deal between Colorado and Toronto. He was the centerpiece of that deal. That deal does not happen if Jeff Hoffman is not included. And today, Jeff Hoffman heads to the majors. Hoffman 6-9 this year in AAA with an ERA of 4.02. But again, don't read much into wins and losses, especially at AAA, because the rosters turn over so frequently. It is hard to win at AAA, hard to get wins. And a 4.02 ERA, you might say, oh, Brady, that's high for a guy who's a top prospect. Not really the case, because the PCL, that level of AAA baseball, is such a hitter's league. You're looking at all those stadiums on the West Coast, okay, some higher elevations, hotter weather, okay, the climate more conducive to the ball carrying. Batters, batting average is notoriously high in the PCL. ERAs also high as well as a result. So don't read much into that. Things you need to know about Hoffman: he throws really, really hard, okay? He's going to be 94 to 99 on the gun. You saw it. He pitched in the Major League Baseball Futures game right around the All-Star break. Had good stuff. Has a good curveball, hard slider. Can use a changeup as well. 118 innings in the minors this year, 124 strikeouts. So his strikeout totals were a little low last year coming back from Tommy John. Now he is over a strikeout per inning. Hitters hit only 261 against him this year. He's got good control. Had just 40 plus walks in that 118 innings, so about 1 every 3 innings on average. So he's got good control. He's got kind of a herky-jerky delivery in which he's kind of got a hesitation, and the ball just explodes out of his hand. And we kind of knew that this call-up was coming, or we could sense it, because we spoke to Jeff Hoffman's dad right around the Futures game, and this is what he told us.
And they are, Colorado is going to shut him down for 2 weeks. So he's not going to throw in a game for 2 weeks. And then the next 2 or 3 starts, he's only going 4 innings, max. So they're limiting his innings over the next, 3 to 4 weeks.
Again, that was Jeff Hoffman's senior, Jeff Hoffman's dad, right around the All-Star break, okay, right around the MLB Futures game. And why would they do that? They shut him down for 2 weeks and they limit his innings. You knew the call-up was coming because they were trying to make sure his innings got used at the major league level rather than the back end of the minor league schedule. And it's gone that way. Okay, he went from July 5th to July 20th. Okay, it was between starts. He started on July 5th, then started on July 20th, so he had time off. And then since then, he's gone just 4 2/3, 3 2/3, 5, 2 2/3, 4, 5. So they have limited his pitch count, limited his innings. He has had that opportunity waiting for him to get to Colorado, and now, today, Jeff Hoffman, Shaker High School graduate, headed to the big leagues. So it is Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region. I'm not saying the New York Mets are done, but their season is on life support. Okay, the Mets, hovering between 3 games back in the wild card, 5 games back in the wild card, hovering right around 500, just can't seem to get any traction anymore. Just a nasty slide here, especially since the All-Star break. Even Jacob deGrom couldn't do anything about it on Thursday night, losing to Madison Bumgarner. The Mets, the reason why I say they're not dead is because they have too many games coming up against teams they're chasing. The Marlins, the Cardinals in the wild card chase. They have games against those opponents. Now they're going to have to play a whole lot better, but you can't say the season is dead because they have the ability to catch the teams that they're trying to catch because they play those teams. And then in September, Met fans, the schedule, it does get a little easier, okay? You still have the Marlins, the team you're contending with. You've also got a lot of matchups with the Phillies and a lot of matchups with the Braves. You also have a series with the Twins in there. So Met fans, again, season is not dead, but it is on life support. And one of the guys who has kept it going even at all is second baseman Neil Walker. You know, he's dealt with a little bit of back discomfort this week as well, missed a couple games, but been posting nearly a 500 on base percentage over the last several weeks, hitting for power, driving in runs, playing a good defensive second base. But now Neil Walker's set to leave the team for the birth of his first child, okay? Going back to Pittsburgh to be with his wife, see the birth of his first child. He can miss up to 3 games, okay? MLB policy allows paternity leave for up to 3 games. And it's a great policy for MLB because it allows these players who do have lives off the field to be a part of their families as well. And maternity leave is something that's prevalent all across the country in workplaces. Paternity leave should be as well. But Neil Walker, how could you leave in the middle of a pennant race? Are you letting your team down? Those are all things that people are wondering, fans are wondering, and other people are saying, look, it's his kid. Family always comes first. Who cares if he leaves? The Mets got to be able to overcome the loss of one player for up to 3 games. They've already missed him a couple games this week because of back injury anyways. So now we go out to the phone line where we find ourselves Alan Hahn, who's the host of Hahn and Humpty. He is on our station every weekday, noon to 2. He follows Big Board Sports with Roger Weil. And Hahn, I have to ask you, okay, Neil Walker gonna leave, leaving the team to be with his family for the birth of his first child, but the Mets need him in a pennant race as they're trying to keep from squandering away a season full of expectations. Should Neil Walker go?
Yeah, absolutely you go. There's no question about it. Daniel Murphy was under fire for doing this a while back. Jacob deGrom, if you remember, also early in the season, he did it too, left the team. So, it's a personal experience. You have the right to do it. He absolutely should. It's one player. The Mets' problems are bigger than one player. And yes, Neil Walker is the one bat that's been consistent for them lately, but he is absolutely allowed to do this, and I think he should. I would encourage it. And, the problems with the Mets are, to me, go beyond him missing a couple of games for the birth of their first child. But for me personally, I don't know if you guys know about our tattoo challenge that we have on our show.
Yes.
And so I fully encourage this. In fact, I would love to see actually Jacob deGrom also take 3 more days off just to check in on the child, his child, who I think is a couple months old now. He should probably take some games off too.
Alan, I play devil's advocate. I bring up the other side. What about fans who say, well, Jacob deGrom leaving in April is a lot different than Neil Walker leaving in August here as we're fighting for a playoff spot and floundering in doing so. Have you heard those fans who are upset with Walker leaving at such a critical time of the season?
If I do, I'm going to tell them they're wrong. If I do, I'm going to tell them that you don't have any kids. Like, most of the people that will argue back this way either don't have children or are too young to even be able to relate to it. And honestly, where are the Mets right now in the standings? If we're talking about game 160 and you're a half game out, it's a totally different story. And I'm sure he would look at it that way as well. Remember, was it last year? Who was it? Was it Nice that FaceTimed when his child was born? Right, he didn't want to miss a game. So it all depends on the situation of a season, but there's still a lot of season left, and it's not exactly they're not exactly running away with anything, and they certainly aren't in it. They are. It's basically manufactured that this contention that they're in right now. They're not really 3 games out. They're playing horribly. I just, to me, if you're a fan who has a problem with this in August, then you really don't understand what it is to either be married or have a child.
We're talking with Alan Hahn, host of Hahn and Humpty, which you can listen to weekdays right here from noon to 2 on 104.5 The Team. And Alan, as a whole, how disappointing has this Mets season been coming into a season with such high expectations?
Like I said, for me, it's personally, I love it because I'm a Yankees fan, and we had this bet, which, I thought by now I'd be already getting the stencil put on me, and instead, I'm right. Actually, I still have a lead, so it's actually been fun to watch. But just stepping back from it, it's been a major disappointment. But you kind of could see from the very beginning of the year when it was, Matt Harvey and what he went through spring training, and then of the injury that knocks him out for the whole year. Zach Wheeler keeps hanging over this team, but he was supposed to be back and pitching at this point. You expected he'd be in the rotation, and instead he's having setbacks as well. I think, you know what? I mean, is this sort of like, what they did with Daniel Murphy? Is this coming back to haunt them? That was a huge mistake. It was not a baseball decision. And when you start doing things like that with your franchise, after a year like they had, it was a magical run last year, and you start letting guys like that walk away, a guy that's important to your team. Yes, they replaced him, and Walker's done very well. But David Wright, you were not prepared for what was going to happen with David Wright. And you had to know that he was not going to make it through a whole season with an injury like that. And Murph could have moved over to third. He was versatile enough to be able to play multiple positions. It's costing you. So these decisions that aren't baseball decisions, these are other decisions, whether it's financial or other things that nobody's talking about, they come back to haunt you. And that's what's happening. So I think this is the bed that the Mets made for themselves this season, and they're dealing with it. But it doesn't mean that they're going to be awful again for a number of years. The pitching's too good, and they just got to reset. But when you don't make decisions based on baseball, they always come back to haunt you.
Alan, you're a Yankee fan, as you just said. We're your home for Yankees baseball in the Capital Region. Were you happy to see the Yankees go with the youth movement and shed the contracts? It was the right move, right?
Yeah, it was. I mean, some might say it's just, and you could tell Brian Cashman was wanting to do this for a long time, and I'm glad he won the argument. But the best part is that, I always use this phrase, meaningful games. And I said this about the Mets last year with those young pitchers, and they've never really been in the crucible of playoff or even contending games. So that experience alone would be valuable to them. Now, they took it all the way to the World Series, which is great. It only makes you better. So you have this youth movement, and you bring in these young guys, and you're supposed to think, all right, well, the season's over. But nobody told them. So they come in, and they've got a lot to prove, and they're excited, and it kind of reinvigorates the team a little bit. Now, look, it's a long shot still for the Yankees to do anything, but at least these games mean something, as well as the fact that they, are getting a lot of playing time. And it's good to see, at least now where this franchise is headed. So that's, to me, what's been fun about this. It keeps you engaged because, all right, this is what we're seeing. Here's the future. And the future looks pretty bright with some of these players.
It's Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region, talking with Alan Hahn, host of Hahn and Humpty, which you can listen to noon to 2 weekdays right here on 104.5 The Team and 104.5theteam.com. Alan, NFL training camps in full swing. We were at Giants camp earlier this week, but we are your home for the New York Jets, so I have to ask, do you really think that the Jets can challenge the Patriots in the AFC East, or is that early season schedule just too hard? I mean, those first 6 weeks are brutal.
I got to be honest with you. We were at Jets camp a couple of weeks ago talking to the players about that, and as much as that schedule, those first six games, but even first 7, if you add the Ravens, go with the ESPN Power Rankings. Those first 6 games, 5 of those opponents are top 10 in the Power Rankings, so that's going to be tough. The Jets are 15th, the Ravens are 12th. So even week 7, you have a team, and the Jets aren't favored in any of the first 6 games. Week 2, to me, at Buffalo, must win. I know it's crazy to think week 2. That's a must-win, especially a Buffalo team that's got a lot of injuries going on right now and some controversy swirling around them where you figure, is this it for Rex? It is at Buffalo. It is short week on a Thursday. You got to get that game. And if you can come out of the first 6 weeks at 3-3, I think, you set yourself up where now you can, I think they can get to 10 wins. Now, can they win the division? Jimmy Garoppolo is going to have to be awful. Then you have a shot. But you have to keep yourself at least in the game and see if the Patriots are going to take a step back, missing Tom Brady for the first 4 weeks. I got them pegged for 10. I think they can get 10 wins. I really do. But those first 6 weeks are going to be really interesting. If they can be healthy going into this season, they're a full team, they're a whole team. I do think that they're good enough on defense to be in every one of those games. And the bottom line is, Ryan Fitzpatrick, can he pick up where he left off last season?
Well, as I said a second ago, we were at Giants camp earlier this week, and I thought there was a really fun vibe, a lot of energy. I've got the Giants winning the NFC East. You guys have been at Giants camp too. What have you guys seen out of Ben McAdoo and the team under the first-year head coach?
Yeah, we were there too, and talking to a lot of different players, some of the new guys as well. Vernon, the guy we really liked. We enjoyed talking with him, and then we did talk to Snacks. And after we were done giving him crap about leaving the Jets, then obviously we were able to talk more Giants. But what I see with that team, especially when you look at their schedule as well, they should win the division. Everybody's talking about the Cowboys, but the Cowboys, their entire defense is suspended, I think, for 10 games, right? Everybody's suspended on that side of the ball. And, when you talk about their offense, it's like you're talking about the Knicks, if they stay healthy, right? That's really all it is, if they stay healthy. Well, Tony Romo has improved being able to do that. Des Bryant is always banged up. What's his name? The tight end who just escapes my name right now. His name escapes me right now. He always gets hurt. And then they have the Elliott as the running back, who's, Zeke is a rookie. So I don't know why they're ranked so high in preseason. To me, the Giants are the team in the NFC East. They should be the team to come out and win that division. There's no question about it. They're a lot better, and their offense, even without Victor Cruz, is still a really good offense based on last year.
Yeah, I totally agree, Han. I think that the Giants are just the best team in that division. They have the most talent, and I think the Eli factor at quarterback, I think they're going to be good this year. I think they're going to be really good this year. Alan Hahn, host of Hahn and Humpty, you hear him weekdays on our station. It's Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region. Alan, thanks for being with us, and best of luck in the remaining season here for the Tattoo Challenge. We'll talk to you again soon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Take care.
That was Alan Hahn of Hahn and Humpty. You hear him every day on our station, noon to 2 during the week, and we appreciate his time. So, look, it's hard to tell. I understand Neil Walker wanting to leave, and I get it as a man, as a fan. If I was only a fan, if I wasn't in this position to be objective, I would say, come on, man, you got to stick around. But I do get it. Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region. Big news locally this week: the Valley Cats announced they will host the 2017 New York Penn League All-Star Game. So they're trying to figure out things to do. Could be Fan Fest, Home Run Derby, all this kind of stuff. But bottom line, you're going to get top-notch baseball talent here in the Capital Region in the summer of 2017 at the All-Star break. So that's always cool to see. I love when local events come to the area. Love baseball at Joe Bruno Stadium. I think it's the best stadium in the Capital Region by far to watch baseball. And rumor has it is arguably the top stadium in the New York Penn League. So we know it's going to be a great experience. Again, that ain't the only piece of big news, though, that came in this week in the Capital Region. And this next piece of big news affects you, the listener on our station. I'll tell you about it next. It was announced this week that UAlbany football and men's basketball are coming right here to 104.5 The Team, and this is a win for all parties, okay? Look, let's peel back the curtain. It's a win for us because it's great to have great programming on our station. It's great to have a team on our station that Capital Region fans are fans of, okay? We have the Yankees. We have the Jets. Now we have major Division I sports, okay? We have a team in the men's basketball team that has an opportunity every single year to go to the NCAA tournament. That's a win for our station. No two ways about it. Up-and-coming football program, energetic athletic director working to make that football program even bigger. Fans love football. Again, a huge win for us to have UAlbany football and men's hoops on our station. Why is it so great for UAlbany? Well, there's a lot of reasons. One, UAlbany is looking to extend its reach into the Capital Region, okay? Looking to further gain a foothold of fans in the Capital Region. You already have a good alumni base. You have people who are just great rabid sports fans, and now you're looking to tie everything together and bring the casual fan in, and they've given UAlbany has given itself a bigger platform to get that message out and get that goal out. So it's a win for UAlbany. When you talk about recruiting, now Will Brown, Greg Gattuso can go and say, look, all our games are on an FM station. All of our games are on an ESPN radio affiliate. That can help in recruiting. And look, I'm not trying to pump us up too much about it, but that's a win for Will Brown, for Greg Gattuso. In recruiting, that is a goal, okay? You have to win the recruiting battle, and anything you can to tell mom and dad that it's easier for you to have access to your son's games, that's important, and that's a win as well. The university will get more recognizability in the community with this deal. And Mark Benson, the athletic director, he told us this week how excited he was for this partnership.
I couldn't be more excited for UAlbany athletics as we work to brand the athletic program, brand the university in the Capital Region and beyond. I think this partnership with ESPN Radio, continue our broadcast partnership with you, Roger, Zach Brady, is really going to help us in those efforts and really give us a much broader and deeper reach into the capital region to engage with the sports fans in the area. So we're really excited about this partnership.
So Albany coming to 104.5 The Team this season, football, men's basketball, that schedule, we're going to start pumping it out when you can listen, when the games are. Opening night for Albany football is at Buffalo on Friday, September 2nd. We could not be happier to have the Great Danes as well. Capital Region Sports Saturday brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region. So we told you about Jeff Hoffman. Okay, getting the call up to the majors. We told you about him. Well, another Capital Region star in the making is Kevin Smith, the Columbia High School graduate, the Maryland shortstop, named MVP of the Cape Cod League Championship Series. And the Cape Cod League is the top collegiate baseball summer league in the country. You talk about the Albany Dutchmen, the Glens Falls Dragons. You talk about the Amsterdam Mohawks in the New York Penn League and not the New York Penn League, the Perfect Game Collegiate Baseball League. That is an unbelievable league, chock full of talent. Well, you know what? The Cape Cod League is 2-3 levels above that. And Kevin Smith was MVP of the playoff championship series in that league. Went 6 for 12. Had a homer. Had a couple of RBIs. His team won the championship. Okay? Kevin Smith is the next big draft pick coming from the Capital Region. The real question is, how high will he get on that draft list? Well, I talked to a source that I trust earlier this week, and I asked him, I said, hey, what do you know about Kevin Smith? He said, good defense, surprising power. I said, okay. Is he a guy who could be a high draft pick? And he said, I think so, but it's still too early to tell. And then I told him, I said, Jeff Hoffman, Garrett Whitley, Ian Anderson, all Capital Region kids who have been drafted in the first round in the last 3 years. Is that an opportunity for Kevin Smith? And he wouldn't go that far. He said, look, all it takes is one team to think that. So, but bottom line is the scouts are high on Kevin Smith. The baseball people are high on Kevin Smith. As I told you, that's a voice that I trust who gave me that scouting report on the Capital Region native, on the Maryland shortstop. And I tell you, I tell this story all the time. I was watching Columbia and Guilderland play Kevin Smith's senior year of high school at Joe Bruno Stadium. And Kevin Smith is a wiry kid, pretty tall, skinny, knew he was good defensively. Thought to myself, you know what? This kid's going to Maryland. I don't know how good he is. I don't know if he's that good. I got to see it. And he hit a ball off of Guilderland to the Joe. And if you go to the Joe, he hit it almost to the scoreboard. Okay, he's a senior in high school in left field. This ball is absolutely crushed. It was a cold night. It was probably 50 degrees. The ball didn't want to carry well. It was April, maybe early May at best. This ball, he hit it through that and hit it to the scoreboard at the Joe with the now deadened aluminum bats. This ball was crushed, and from that moment, I was a believer in Kevin Smith. And it's starting to come to fruition. Justin Yurchak, I think, is going to get drafted. The Shen kid who's playing at Binghamton this year. He sat out last year after transferring from Wake Forest. You just know, okay, that these guys are going to be the next crop of Capital Region players to get drafted. And Kevin Smith has an opportunity to go very, very high. I don't know if we can go first round. I don't know if the Capital Region can make it 4 years in a row. But bottom line is he's going to be a player in professional baseball if he wants to after the draft next year. And it can still go back to Maryland as well. It's Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region. So something we have known for a while now, for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, but it is now official. Jimmer is heading to China. Okay, Jimmer Fredette is heading to China, and it's going to be a great opportunity for him. For the people that say, oh, this proves that he was an NBA bust or that he's a failure, if that's how you want to look at it, I don't know if I can change your opinion. But here's why it's a win for Jimmer. First and foremost, he's going to get a chance to go make some real money, okay? A guaranteed contract. He's not going to have to deal with, he only gets paid if he makes the team, or it's a partial guarantee, all that. He's going to make real money. First and foremost, support his family, support his wife, Whitney Fredette. He's going to have a good contract there. American players, especially players with high status in the United States, they have high status overseas as well. So Jimmer's going to be well liked by the Chinese fans. Okay, it's a scorers league. Okay, multiple players last year averaged over 30 a game in that league in China. Jimmer's going to get a chance to do what he does best, and then shoot. And for the fans who love to see Jimmer play the game, that's what you love to see. You love to see him shoot, and he's going to get an opportunity to go and do that playing in the Chinese league. Then the season is only 4 months long. Okay, he's going to be done in February or March, depending on how his team does in the playoffs, and he's going to get an opportunity potentially to come back in February or March. And if he plays well, maybe he gets a look at an NBA roster. Maybe he does get a look at an NBA roster. This is a win for Jimmer in all facets. And you know what? I kind of knew that it was coming for Jimmer. You kind of just felt like this opportunity. He was in Summer League with the Denver Nuggets earlier this summer, and you kind of felt like if that didn't work out, he was really, really open to going overseas because he knew that maybe the opportunities there were better than the opportunities here of him chasing the NBA dream into Summer League. He talked to Roger Weiland and I early in July about being in camp with the Nuggets at Summer League, and then maybe about his future.
The goal is to make it into the NBA this year, and that's what I'm thinking. That's what my mentality is. But if that doesn't happen, obviously overseas is going to be play. And I know there are some great teams overseas. They have great league over there. There are great leagues in all the different countries. And, so if that were to happen, I would be 100% happy to do so and be able to go make a career over there and hopefully do really well. But the focus right now is to make it in the NBA. I believe that I am an NBA player and that I have the skill set to make it here. And, I'm excited to be able to show that in Summer League.
Again, Jimmer just sounded like a guy who was open to the possibility of going overseas, and he knows that there's great opportunities overseas, and going to play in China is one of those great opportunities for him, okay? And we wish Jimmer the best. We'd love to watch Jimmer play. Happy to see him happy with the way his career is going right now, and maybe he does have an opportunity to get back because, look, I do think that he's an NBA caliber player, just like he does, and maybe I'm blinded by the fact that I enjoy watching Jimmer play too, but I think he's an NBA player. I think he gets a bad rap, and I think his fans, the overzealousness of his fans, actually comes back to hurt him. And man, maybe I'm in that group too. So I think Jimmer's got a really good chance overseas in China. Again, it's Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your #1 volume dealer in the Capital Region. And again, at Mohawk Honda, they strive for perfection every day. Providing the most impeccable customer service is the key to any success. And at Mohawk Honda, they try to do things right all the time for their entire family of customers. They have over 1,000 new and pre-owned vehicles available to select from that are open extended hours in all of their departments to better service you. And you can shop over 10 acres of savings opportunities or go online 24/7 at MohawkHonda.com. And they'll provide you the lowest no-hassle price to better suit your budget. A business can have all of that, but really, without great customer service, what else matters? At Mohawk Honda, they have over 180 trained automotive experts going above and beyond to make sure all your needs are met. Okay, and if new isn't for you, they inventory over 300 of the highest quality pre-owned vehicles, all at one low below market value and no hassle price. Shop the convenient Route 50 in Glenville location to join the #1 automotive family at Mohawk Honda, where they always go out of their way to please you. Carmelo Anthony gets a lot of criticism playing in New York. He's great playing with Team USA in the Olympics. Okay, he's been phenomenal throughout his entire Olympic career. He drew criticism again this week, and I just didn't get it. We're going to ask Ian Begley, ESPN New York, about that next.
It's Capital Region Sports Saturday with Brady Farkas, sponsored by Mohawk Honda.
Yes, we are back, and we are on the phone right now. Ian Begley covers the Knicks, does an outstanding job, ESPN New York. And Ian, I have to go right to the column earlier this week that was published in the New York Post about Carmelo Anthony. So Melo, playing with Team USA, has his signature three-point celebration, 3 fingers to the head whenever he hits a shot from behind the arc. And the column said that basically, maybe the gesture was insensitive in this time in our own country, given the problem with guns and gun violence, and maybe the gesture resembled some kind of gang thing. What did you make of that column?
Yeah, I think he stated it much more strongly than that. He said, it is a gesture that connotes shooting someone in the head. And listen, I love Mushnick, the writer of the column. He's entertaining, but I think he was off base here because this is something that's come up in the past. This thing started back in 2012, 2013 with Rasheed Wallace when he was on the Knicks. He started doing it when he hit threes, and other guys on that team started to do it, and it's something that Carmelo's just carried over from that 2012-2013 season. And he was asked about it that year, about it being potentially, a gang sign or something that connotes shooting someone in the head, and he denied it back then. And listen, I think that this celebration is fine. I don't think that it means what Phil Mushnick says it means, especially in the context of the way Carmelo is doing it. And I disagreed with the idea that Carmelo was being some kind of a hypocrite, playing both sides of the fence, which is the point that Mushnick espoused in terms of his activism, his being vocal on the recent social issues that the country's facing, and then turning around and doing this gesture on the court. I don't see the contrast there. I don't think it's a legitimate point. And like I said, normally I enjoy Mushnick. He's entertaining, but I think he was off base here.
Ian Begley, Knicks reporter for ESPN New York. Nick, what about people who say that Melo, maybe he could lose the gesture during the Olympics? Should Coach K go to him and say, look, this gesture, whatever, maybe it's not a huge deal to me, but we know some of the feedback right now might not be positive around it. Should we ditch it just for the Olympics? Should Coach K do that?
No, I think that's absurd. I mean, I think you're drawing attention to a conclusion that's false. I don't think that the connotation is what Mushnick says it is. And to stop doing a gesture that is innocent and benign because one writer at a newspaper draws a conclusion that's incorrect, I think is unfair, and I don't think that's the right course of action.
Why is it that Melo continues to be this lightning rod for everything? Because I understand the criticism of Melo, the player for the Knicks, but Melo, the humanitarian, does appear to be a pretty reserved, pretty well-spoken, and pretty well-liked and likable guy. So why even go this direction on Melo? I just didn't understand that.
And I think it's just the media where we are now. It's a slow time of year. Some writers are looking to stir things up, and this is kind of what happens in our market. And it's a part of doing business for athletes in New York. And I'm not saying it's fair, but you see it happen a lot. And I think things get taken out of context. Things don't get put in their proper perspective sometimes in this market and in other markets. But I think it speaks to really the pressure of trying to produce content that people will be talking about from a media perspective, more so that than anything Carmelo is doing right or doing wrong.
Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region, talking with Ian Begley, ESPN New York. He covers the Knicks. And Ian, off the Melo gesture drama, how about just Melo on-court play? What do you see different between Olympic Melo and New York Knicks Melo?
He's got help in the Olympics. He has guys who can make shots, who can create their own shots. I mean, obviously he's playing with the best players in the world, so I think that's what you're seeing here. You're seeing Carmelo not being relied upon as option one, option two, and option three when he's on the floor. He's just one of five scoring options when he's with Team USA. And you're seeing defenses not necessarily being able to load up on him in a half-court situation. You're seeing defenses have to pay attention to the other 4-3 scorers on the court at the time, whatever the case may be, and he's taking advantage of that. Obviously, you're not going to be able to recreate that with the Knicks, but I think one thing that you look at with this Knicks team that hasn't been there in recent seasons has been Carmelo Anthony. We think, if everyone stays healthy, is going to share the floor with a couple guys who can create their own shot, who will force defenses to pay attention to them, in Derrick Rose and Kristaps Porzingis. So I don't think you'll see Olympics Melo with the Knicks, but maybe you see a little bit less attention paid to Carmelo on the defensive end. Maybe he gets some easier looks this year because of Derrick Rose, because of Kristaps Porzingis.
Beg, so a follow-up to that. It sounds like you're a fan of the moves the Knicks made and that you think they're in a pretty good spot heading into this next season.
I think they could have gone two ways heading into this summer. They could have solely focused on developing around Kristaps Porzingis, get young, cheap players who are on his timeline of development, or they could have done what they did, gone all in on this coming season, build something around Carmelo Anthony, put Kristaps in a situation that they hope is a winning one, and improve his development from that perspective. They chose the latter, and I don't have a problem with it. I think that, there's reason for Knicks fans to be excited because of who they brought in Joakim Noah, Derrick Rose, Brandon Jennings, Courtney Lee. Because this team right now is built to win this season. So I think, if I'm a fan, and I'm a reporter, I'm not a fan, but if I was a fan, I'd be excited just because there is the expectation that things are either going to go really well this season because of who they've brought in, or poorly, but nonetheless, they'll be interesting because the expectations have been raised. So I think there's reason for Knicks fans to be excited about the coming season.
Ian, I have to draw the parallel between the Knicks and the Yankees. For so long, the Yankees were looking for that quick fix, and we've seen now the state of the Yankees because of all of those years of trying to operate that way, and now people are excited about the youth movement. Should the Knicks at some point, whether it was 5 years ago, this year, whatever, have torn the whole thing down and tried to do what the Yankees are starting to realize now, or they're just going to keep doing this, try to figure out a quick fix, and we don't know if it will ever get them there?
I think what's going to happen, and this is just my best guess at what's going to happen here, is what they're doing is they're bridging the gap from the end of Carmelo's career, tenure with the Knicks, current contract, whatever the case happens to be, and developing around Kristaps Porzingis in his prime. Because you have Joakim Noah on a 4-year deal. You have Courtney Lee on a 4-year deal. So these guys are going to be here, we think, barring a trade, injury, and unforeseen retirement, for the next 4 seasons. And you would think that just looking ahead at Carmelo's deal, he's on the books for another 3 years. So you have him as a strong scorer for another 3 seasons. And I think they're trying to get through this Melo era with a competitive product and then get into the Kristaps Porzingis era, building the team in earnest around Porzingis. When he's in his prime, he'll be around 24. At that time, he'll be 4 or 5 years in the NBA. So he'll be a different player then, they hope, if he stays healthy and develops the way that they think he can. He'll be a player then that can carry you night in and night out, and a player who you can build around. So I think that's the way this thing is looking long term.
Ian Begley covers the Knicks for us, Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your #1 volume dealer in the Capital Region. Ian, thanks a lot, as always, for all the great information. We appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you again down the road during this next season.
Hey, pleasure to be with you guys.
There he goes, Ian Begley, ESPN New York. Yeah, I didn't understand the Carmelo Anthony criticism earlier this week. Melo gets a lot of criticism playing for the Knicks, and maybe it's justified over the course of an 81-game NBA season. But the way he's played with Team USA throughout his entire career has been nothing but admirable and noble. And that gesture, that's basketball these days, okay? And I don't think you can read anything more into it than it's just somebody having fun. Now, maybe you think it's immature. Maybe you think that someone who's been in the league for more than 10 years doesn't need to be drawing attention to himself like that. But you know what? It's the same kind of showmanship you see from Bryce Harper, Cam Newton, and Steph Curry, and a lot of people are saying, well, you know what? That's what makes the game fun for young players, and ultimately our goal is to try to spread the game to young players and keep the game growing. So I think that's part of the conversation. I think that column was off the beaten path, and I thought it was misguided, and I don't think Melo deserves that criticism because he gets enough of it, and some of it is justified. Capital Region Sports Saturday brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your #1 volume dealer in the Capital Region. So we were at Giants camp earlier this week, and I've got the Giants winning the NFC East. And I think going to camp really just heightened my thought, okay? The Giants were having fun, a lot of energy in that building, the Quest Diagnostics Center, and out on the practice field. Okay, Ben McAdoo's brought an energy, he's brought a confidence, he's brought a swagger. So my biggest takeaways were, number one, the fun that the Giants were having. Okay, you look at it and you say that this team, okay, they were playing music, loud music out on the field, and maybe like, well, who cares? They play music during a game. The Giants didn't do that before during practice, okay? You saw guys bebopping around. You saw guys having a swagger, having a confidence. They looked like they enjoyed being out there at a practice on an 80-degree day in East Rutherford, New Jersey in the middle of August. They looked like they truly enjoyed it. They were having fun. Then the immense talent of Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, he was going even half speed on certain things and was just unbelievable one-handed catches. Burned a DB by 5 steps to catch a long pass from Eli Manning. Speaking of Eli Manning, one of my biggest takeaways also, the precision it takes to be an NFL quarterback, especially a high-level NFL quarterback. Eli Manning was throwing corner routes to wide receivers along the sideline, just absolute pinpoint accuracy. And you know what? You need to be accurate to be an NFL quarterback. I don't know if I knew just how accurate these guys are. Eli Manning, that really was unbelievable to me. And the last takeaway I had was Olivia Vernon, okay? The guy they got from Miami to help rush the passer. He's a leader on that defense already, and we're a month in to training camp. Not even a month into training camp, just 3 weeks into training camp and preseason. He would leave drills and run sprints on the side field, and I thought he was in trouble. I was ready to ask Ben McAdoo, why is Olivia Vernon running sprints? Okay, did he do something wrong? He was running on his own, and he was taking JPP with him. He had that team, he had his teammates working as hard as he did, and that pass rush, I think, has an opportunity to be scary for the New York Giants. And I told you, I think they're going to win the NFC East. I think Dallas is good. Too many questions if Tony Romo goes down, and I'm not confident Tony Romo is going to play 16 games this season as well. So it's Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your #1 volume dealer in the Capital Region. And again, at Mohawk Honda, if new isn't for you, they inventory over 300 of the highest quality pre-owned vehicles, all at one low, below market value, no hassle price. The Mohawk Exchange Specialist can assist you in upgrading your current vehicle to a newer one with no money down for the same or lower payment. Seriously, all you have to do is ask. They have over 180 trained automotive experts going above and beyond to make sure all of your needs are met. And at Mohawk Honda, they truly do. They mean it when they say they go out of their way to please you. So you know, Route 50 in Glenville, that's the place to go.
It's Capital Region Sports Saturday with Brady Farkas, sponsored by Mohawk Honda.
Niskayuna graduate Garrett Whitley back in the Capital Region this weekend as his Hudson Valley Renegades take on the Tri-City Valley Cats at the Joe Saturday through Monday. It's a hot ticket, and you're going to want to be there, okay? Because Garrett Whitley, Niskayuna native, first-round pick last year of the Tampa Bay Rays. This will be your only chance to see him play professionally because he won't be with the Renegades next year. So if you want to say you saw him when, before he gets to the bigs or before he gets to high levels in the minors, this is your opportunity. If you're a fan of Capital Region baseball, you're a fan of Capital Region kids doing big things, then you want to see Garrett Whitley this weekend at the Joe. Whitley, as far as his season has gone, he's had an up and down year. He's hitting in the 230s right now, but that's a big improvement, okay? He had a real rough July, or he's had a rough June, then played better in July. He's had a real good August to start, so maybe getting some confidence. Look, he's got all the raw talent for sure. That's what he got to be a first-round pick, number 13 overall in the Major League Draft by the Rays, okay? Runs well. Bat speed compared to Justin Upton, Andrew McCutcheon, some of your perennial Major League All-Stars. He's got power. He's got power to all fields, steals bases. He's got double-digit stolen bases this season. Good defender, takes good routes to the ball in the outfield. Okay, kid is a real player, and you're going to want to see it at the Joe. And you know the Valley Cats and the organization will do a good job in making sure that Whitley gets a lot of support. Even though, he doesn't play for the Valley Cats, they know how big this weekend is for them. And I've seen a number of different homecomings at the Joe. I was at Jamie Schultz's first start for the Renegades against the Valley Cats at the Joe. Huge contingent. I was at Brian O'Keefe coming back from Colony playing for the State College Spikes in the Cardinal system. I was there for J.P. Sportman playing for the Vermont Lake Monsters against the Valley Cats. Okay, it happens once every couple of years, and we're in a run of it now where it's happened like 4 times in the last 5 years. So you're going to want to see Garrett Whitley live at Joe Bruno Stadium Saturday through Monday. Again, Tickets are still available, but I know they're going to be tough to come by. You know, almost all of Niskayuna is going to be there. And I'm excited to see Garrett play again in person. I haven't seen him play in person since last year, since his senior year of high school, and excited to see that raw talent on display and to see how he continues the maturation process, because, again, he's one of several kids getting that opportunity to play professional baseball from the JP Sportmans. Tommy Canley, Jeff Hoffman, who's going to make his major league debut today, Sportman, Brandon Cogswell, Dave Roseboom from LaSalle playing with the Mets system. There's kids all over the Capital Region getting a chance to play in professional baseball. Ian Anderson and Garrett Whitley comes back to the Capital Region today. It is Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region. Big shout out to Grace Claxton. If you don't know who Grace Claxton is, she's a UAlbany track and field star. Okay, UAlbany track and field star who advanced to the semifinals of the 400-meter hurdles at the Olympic Games in Rio. And what an unbelievable accomplishment it is just to be good on an NCAA level. And Grace Claxton for UAlbany was was at the NCAA championships in that event, the 400-meter hurdles, but then also to be good on an international level and good enough to make it to the Olympics and have success. I mean, she represented Puerto Rico, and she advanced out of her first heat, finishing third, got to the semifinals at the Olympics. Unbelievable accomplishment, and that's big for her, big for her family, big for Puerto Rico. It's big for UAlbany as well. If you're Roberto Vivas, the head coach of UAlbany, now you can say to yourself, look, I've recruited athletes, I've trained athletes that have gone on to the Olympics. Oh, by the way, and have had success in the Olympics. I mean, how good is that if you're a coach looking to recruit? So big props to Grace Claxton and the rest of UAlbany and their track and field team as well. One of the great stories locally in the Olympics. Big day today up in Saratoga, okay, the Alabama going on. One of the, hard to believe we're coming down to the wire here of the Saratoga racing season. And, I was up there yesterday with Roger Weiland and, dropped a few more bucks, so to say. So hopefully we can get back on track here today. Capital Region Sports Saturday brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region. Again, the big story locally today, Shaker High School graduate Jeff Hoffman getting his opportunity to pitch against the Chicago Cubs, his major league debut, Coors Field in Denver. What are we looking for? You're looking for him to throw hard. Okay, he's going to be between 94 and 98, but you're also looking to channel that, locate on the corners, use his breaking stuff. He's going up against, the best lineup in the National League. Okay, it's not going to be easy. Don't be surprised if he gives up a run in the first. Don't be surprised if he goes 5 innings and gives up 4. Okay, he's got shutdown stuff. He's got frontline starter stuff, and it's going to be on display tomorrow. No matter what the result is, you're going to see the stuff that makes him so highly touted. We're proud of him here in the Capital Region. And again, I forget who the athlete is with it. It's on their Twitter bio. We're all just a kid from somewhere. Well, Jeff Hoffman is just a kid from Latham, New York, now getting a chance to pitch in the major leagues. It broke yesterday that he was going to get an opportunity to go to Colorado. And it's an unbelievable opportunity and one that he will remember forever. I was texting back and forth with his dad yesterday. So they found out a little early. They found out about 6 o'clock on, Jeff Hoffman apparently found out about 6 o'clock on Thursday night. His father found out about 8 o'clock on Thursday night, and they instantly had a flight plan going to Denver. So they're going to get a chance to see him pitch against the Cubs in the Mile High City. Again, everybody, Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region. Big day in Saratoga today. If you need to know anything about what's going on in Saratoga with the Saratoga racing season, well, you got the guy for you on this station. It is Andy Serling. Serling on Saratoga at the Post Live. That is coming next. And we'll see you next week, Capital Region Sports Saturdays team.